Okay, look, hello and welcome to Community Services. Call for apologies. No apologies? No? Okay. Forgive me, I didn't welcome Wayne from Geraldine and Ellie from Timaru on Zoom. So welcome both. Any items of urgent business? Any opposed motion? No, thank you. Now, minor nature, just something that needs discussion. Councillor Booth, do you have something?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss the COVID level 2.5 and perhaps the effect on our local community and perhaps talk about the situation for us here.
Okay, thank you. Where am I missing? Right. The world does move on with our reporters, doesn't it? Okay, look, no more minor nature. Thank you. Done. My chairman's report, as usual, I've attended various meetings, as we all have, and quite a busy time. So I'll move my report. Someone like to second? Peter Burke, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Confirmation of minutes on page 6.1. Someone prepared to move the minutes. Councillor Riley, Councillor Gilchrist, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. So we go to 7 reports on 7.1 on page 11. And that is the outdoor pool extended season review and proposed of the season. Yeah, and Craig will come forward, and Simon. We have all read the report. Is there anything you wish to add to the report, Craig and or Simon?
Hopefully it's all fairly self-explanatory. I guess the main thing is that whatever decision the council comes to, our main sticking point is the same as it's always been, is our ability to staff the pools at the end of the season. We have university students back, school students only available after school and occasionally on weekends, and yeah, we'll do our best, but sometimes we just can't physically staff the pool, as we saw at the end of this last season where we had to have some rolling closures and split shifts and so on.
So it can be seen as desirable but difficult to achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, comments. We have Councillor Parker.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chair. Just regarding staffing, is the difficulty staffing all the pools or more the rural pools? And I say that just because option 2 regarding being able to extend sea bay, because I did read that it was well supported in the extension time. So so is the staffing concerns just the whole of the pools or just the district rural pools?
It's the whole of the pools, but the ease that we have at Sea Bay is that we have 7 or 9 staff on duty, and if for some instance during a period of the day there's no one on the 50-metre pool, we can actually have them come indoors, someone else gets a break, and because of the bulk number of staff we can rotate the staff there easily. But as soon as we open an outdoor pool we need 2 staff there, whereas the 50 is 1 extra for to meet our pool safe plan, because there's still more than 1 lifeguard in the whole complex.
Thank you. Any further comment? Oh, Your Worship. Yeah.
Just a question, Craig. Have we done anything, sort of initiatives, maybe just to do with staffing as far as the local high schools, or those?
Every year we send ads. We ask the councillors, the guidance councillors for people. We put ads in I can't remember what it's called, the overseas thing. We're not going to get that this year. So for instance at Geraldine, the last 2 years we had a French couple 2 years ago and a French Canadian couple last year, who were both working full time, which is a hole we won't necessarily fill with no tourists.
So extensive recruitment drive across all of the traditional media channels, plus local rags, papers, stalls, word of mouth, and those networks as well. The timing issue that we strike is whilst they can commit for a period of time across the summer, once university and school starts back in particular, that February, March period becomes increasingly more difficult, regardless of their willingness to work. Their other commitments start to kick in.
We're even going to be tight at the start of this season because NCA exams have been put back 2 weeks. So normally the school students are finishing about the 10th of November. So they're not going to finish till the 14th of December, I think it is this year. So they won't be as available while they've still got exams on. And some universities have also put their exams back 1 or 2 weeks. So for our season opening on the 12th, usually we've got people trained up ready to go. This year it might be a little bit tighter. But it's the other end of the season that's always the problem.
Yes, O'Reilly.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Craig, yeah, it's much as in all, we all get some flack from a certain, smaller group in our community that use the pools, and I know that it's not economic to run it with 1 or 2 people in the pool. And I think as a council, we need to look at that as in the economics of running the pool and with your staffing. So I'd like just to recommend that go for option 1, even though there will be some people out there that will kick back at us, but I think it's the most sensible thing to do.
Your worship.
Oh, yeah, just Councillor Rowley, I think it's probably less around economics in all reality and more about staffing, isn't it? I mean, there's a cost. Those numbers aren't too bad, and I'm happy to support, us continuing if we could get the people. But I'm really interested though to hear from Councillor Oliver in regard to the Geraldine perspective, because this is where it sort of came from initially to extend the season, wasn't it? From requests from Geraldine initially.
Councillor Puddington.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with what Craig's saying. If you haven't got the staff, you can't do it. But I'd just like to contact those people that came and spoke to us last year with an explanation of why we're doing it, because I don't want to go through the situation. We make this decision today, they turn up in a month, we change our decision. So just have some good comms around it.
I've spoken with Mr. Bradley several times. Yeah, he still wants it for the school swimming sports, but he understands.
Okay, Councillor Oliver.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I obviously feel a bit like Paddy. We did signal to our people. Well, I definitely signaled to the people that came to me asking for the season to be extended that they needed to support this really well to allow it to continue. Clearly, looking at those numbers, it's a bit disappointing. I thought there actually would have been some more people. I'm just wondering whether, when we actually get to the stage when we're recruiting, the likelihood, obviously we were lucky in Jordan, we've had 2 couples over the last 2 years. If we waited to make our decision until we could see what that recruiting looked like, no pressure, Craig, but as far as I can see, it would be nice to be able to. We've got quite a few older people that do use the pool in the morning, and whether we could go to a rotation system where maybe some of the staff were rotated around the 3 rural pools, to at least give us a bit of an option of having it open for a couple of hours, maybe each pool each day, or something like that. Whether that was an option that you've thought about considering.
Well, we managed to do that with split shifts and some closures this year in that last couple of weeks, because I had a staff member, full-time lifeguard, go down with an injured back, which left us short. It is very difficult to manage, and like I said at the start, we can do whatever is decided, and I don't have a really, certainly from my personal point of view in terms of people management, it makes more sense, and economically as well, though minor, but I just can't guarantee that whatever we decide we'll be able to do, because same as it was last year, I think I had 1 full-timer and 1 semi-full-timer go down sick and injured, and all of a sudden that cascading effect meant we didn't have enough staff to keep the pools open.
Thank you. Councillor Booth.
Yeah, I'm happy to support Craig's recommendation. And it was mentioned throughout the report about the weather being inclement. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen come this March or this summer. So, you know, perhaps these are the arrangements, but subject to perhaps, unless if circumstances were to change with getting people and the weather, that may be considered.
I think it's always easier for us if we did have really good staffing and there was a really good weather forecast to not turn the power off on the last Sunday and say we're going to keep it open, rather than saying we're going to keep it open longer and then say, oh no, we can't, sorry.
Those last comments of yours, Craig, certainly make some sense, don't they? Coming at it from the opposite end would be more rewarding, wouldn't it, in a way? Yes, if we could. Yeah. Okay, the Mayor, we wish.
And to the points made, my only point would be, how do you capture that in a motion with the will to extend if possible versus a line in the sand? And that's the issue with putting a line in the sand, isn't it? Because it's quite definitive, whereas listening to Councillor Oliver, you know, if the staffing are there, then I think the community would appreciate that extension. Understanding Craig's point, I think that's been well made, but as far as a motion, is this the correct one? And
so are you suggesting a number 2 or adding to that motion?
well, I mean, potentially, yeah, look, potentially suggesting an amendment that just gives officers the option to extend or amend if staffing and weather allow, something along those lines. Hard to put weather into a motion in council, but you know, hey, we'll do it here in Timaru. We're leading the way.
Your Worship, I actually think I have the delegation to extend the hours without even my GM authority if required. So it doesn't need to be a motion. I can make that call at my discretion, although of course I'd consult.
We could highlight the motion. Yes. Should we highlight in the motion, Craig, that you have that ability?
Say again?
Should we highlight in the motion that you have that ability to extend? That's your discretion.
Yeah. And
Your Worship, does that fit with you at all?
Yeah, comfortable with that. Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I think it'd be nice to reflect council's wishes in that as well, if we have the ability with the staff.
Andrew, you got that captured, you feel? Okay, everybody. Oh, your Worship.
It's all I needed. Yeah. Hoping for no nor'westers. Yeah.
Yeah, you've just become God.
Where they go? Your Worship, you're still there, or are you happy?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to see how we're going. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, there's nobody else lining up to speak. We're clear on the motion. We understand the motion. Well, I guess we need to move in a second, don't we? That'll be great. Councillor Parker, a second. Did you move? What? Okay. Right. So you moved. Who seconded? Oh, Gavin. Okay. Councillor Oliver. Okay. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay. So that's the only report we've got. We've just got now the minor nature item that Councillor Booth brought up in regards to the COVID level 2 or 2 and a bit or whatever for the South Island. So comments from you, Councillor Booth?
Yeah, look, I just like to. I'm concerned the lack of consideration from further north around the fact that we are stuck in level 2.5 when we actually haven't got any COVID in the South Island at the present time. It's certainly impacting our economy and our people, our small to medium sized businesses. And I think, you know, we should probably look to send a message to the fact that they're not even talking about the South Island. They just seem to think that we'll just do as we're asked and told. We've got our local business community by Chamber of Commerce and some of our representatives from our hospitality industry speaking out about the impact and the fact that we're being held in limbo around the COVID, and we're basically attached, even though we're an island, appear to be attached to what is occurring in Auckland, and it is really quite concerning. We should be, in my opinion, at level 1 and operating as per normal. We've not had any COVID here for over a year, probably longer than that, and I think there are a few people starting to become concerned, and I'm certainly one of those. I'd like to think that perhaps we're able to have a discussion and get a feeling around the table what everyone else is thinking, and perhaps to formulate some sort of message to support our local businesses and economy.
Thank you, Councillor. We're mindful that we've taken this item in minor nature, but of course we can discuss it around the table, but we haven't got the ability to form a motion at the end of the discussion. So I'm just mindful. Is that the intention? But that's your intention.
I think we just need to, I think it should be, we need to have a discussion, a public discussion.
Yeah, okay. Yep, so you're not, okay, that's fine. So under minor nature, still appropriate. Okay, thank you. Councillor Gilchrist.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just along with what Ellen was saying, I also think maybe this is a really good opportunity to discuss publicly the importance of us as a council sending a really strong message to our community about the importance of vaccination and really promoting our community getting a really high vaccination rate, because that is the key to getting opened up again. So when we're talking about changing alert levels, I think we need to be talking about vaccination rates as well. And so sending a really strong message that the council as a whole and as individuals really support our community having a high level of vaccination to protect everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes.
I thank you through Mr. Chair. Just in regards to Councillor Booth's suggestion that we should discuss this, look, I totally agree. You know, we walk amongst our community at the moment, we're seeing it on the news, we're seeing what's happening up in Auckland, and there's no recognition of the fact that the South Island have been pretty much COVID-free. In Timaru, South Canterbury itself, is 81% vaccinated. So I think we're quite clearly demonstrating we're on board with what the government's trying to achieve, and we don't want COVID hitting our districts and also filling up our hospitals and everything else. But I think it also needs to be acknowledged that with what the central government's doing at the moment, they're not recognising what the South Island have achieved. And I think we're seeing some real human disasters coming through, both for individuals and for businesses. And I really don't want to be sitting on the sidelines, not having an opportunity to voice my opinion, saying that I don't agree with what central government's doing, that they're alienating a lot of people through some of their decision-making process. But I understand why they want to do it, because around the vaccination. But also, too, I think there needs to be some recognition and some engagement to try and explain further that, hey, we're not going to be on sidelines forever. But give us some time frames, but it also gives some business confidence back to our communities as well. So I recommend and suggest, thank you very much to Councillor Booth for putting this on the table today. So no, it's a good suggestion.
Councillor Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Without trying to turn it into a talk for you, so again, Timaru needs to have a very, very strong message and be seen to lead positions like this. Central government is putting a lot of impositions on us at the moment, and this is clearly going to be one of those times where, as a South Island, where we've got the provisions to have some mitigation around regional air travel and the ferry. Australia have just a line on a map, and they can actually independently make decisions between states there. Look, for goodness sake, it can't drag on. It's got a big tail. I'm mindful of the vaccination and pushing that, and that we are leading to a certain degree, that it needs to be done. that there should be some recognition for the South Island. Those two provisions around the ability to mitigate travel by air and sea could easily see the South Island in level 1 again, and actually starting to forge forward with the businesses. As Councillor Wills has said, there's going to be some chronic fallout from this with business and what have you, and confidence and everything else. And so they need to start moving ahead. They haven't really expressed to us whether they're going for eradication or not. They need to also express that very, very clearly now, and also acknowledge who are the people that are actually moving around this country that are causing it. And there are a couple of groups that we know of now that we see quite regularly, and it's ridiculous to say the least. But I fully support a message from this council in that regard.
Thank you. Your worship.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm just interested to know what those groups were, Councillor.
Well, let's face it, if we all wore a patch on our back, we'd have so much ability to move around this country. It'd be amazing.
I'll just think briefly, just one of the things Karen has discussed yesterday was
that would be releasing today, a media release in regard to people travelling from level 3 and 4 areas to be double vaccinated and effectively strengthen out that border. So the Canterbury Mayor is certainly supporting the protection of the South Island in that regard for both economic and the social issues that will follow.
Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I believe that what His Worship's just said about having people double vaccinated to come to the South Island is important. But I'd just like to add, with the vaccination day on Saturday, we have Smooker's got Ali Talbot, Ali, who's on, I think is there now. She's leading a bit of a charge to generate some interest in picking people up, putting the word out if anyone wants a ride to any vaccination places which are happening in and around Smooker on Saturday. So, each small community is doing their little bit to push the vaccination idea forward. So I'd just like to let the community know that's sort of what's happening in our little spot. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Sorry, just to add, just to promote the cause, tomorrow in council chambers it is, isn't it? Oh, is it in the chambers? In meeting room 1, we do have a drop in vaccination centre here as well as part of the latest push, so that's really good to see.
Very good. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, look, I totally support what everyone said. I think it's pretty difficult when you're working from just week to week, from Monday to Monday. There doesn't seem really any certainty. Yesterday we've decided that we have to cancel our festival in Geraldine for the first, well, I think it's apart from due to the weather for the first time, which is our biggest festival of the year. If we knew that in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time we might be in alert level 1, we would have kept it going. We just seem to be moving week to week with no real certainty. And, we do need to be seen to be definitely supporting all our businesses, our business leading groups like Chamber of Commerce and that we're right behind them and what they're saying and things like that. So, I totally endorse Councillor Booth and what he's put on the table today. And if there's a letter to go forward, I think that's a good start. So.
Thank you. Before I go to Councillor Booth, could I just say that, I agree with everything that's been said, that the reality is that, in these times that action should have consequences, quite simply. And I think we're all getting a little tired of the actions of some that are imposing on the rest of us, and the consequences for them don't seem to be appropriate in any shape or form. So I think it's time for us as a community here in Timaru District and New Zealand wide to say, look, enough's enough. These people that are breaking the rules have got to have a consequence. There's got to be some outcomes that say this is not okay, and we've just got to get on with our lives. We all need to get on with the double jab. We're doing it, and just do it as quick as we can so our lives can get back to normal. And we cannot have the dog's tail wagging the dog. It's just nonsense. So we need to be a little firmer in our views of people who are flouting. Medical reasons is one, so that's fine, but flouting the rules is just not good enough. We've moved on. With all due respects, the world is almost at a war footing now, and that there's lots of things that we can't do that we used to be able to do, and we need to work together. And the only way we can do that is be vaccinated and move on and get on with their lives and get commerce going again and people visiting their family and all those good things. So I agree with everything you've all said. Councillor Booth.
Yeah, I'd like to see us set a target in the South Island. And, if this obviously needs to be led centrally by our government. But, as we are an island, if we limit who comes to the South Island, they obviously need to be double jabbed. And I think I'm right with Richard, you need to have, there needs to be consequences. And if we don't have a bit of a stick, people won't actually get vaccinated. So, but certainly we should not be bundled into the same group of people who are flouting the rules in small areas of our country, who are letting everyone else down and think they're above everyone else. And, the community leaders who say they represent them obviously do not, because they're not doing their job. So while the South Island is mostly conservative and subservient to doing the right thing and wanting to do the right thing, and we should be rewarded for that, and the rest of the country will see that that's the way forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Good discussion. Thank you for your participation. It's very timely. Okay. Now we have no further business. We need to go into public excluded. I'll move that we move into public excluded. Second, Councillor Riley. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you.